The title of our unit of study is Interpreting Characters. And one of the things that happens as we get further into a story is that we want to start to grow an interpretation of the character. And when we talk about that, we're talking about what is the character like? What kind of a person are they? What is their personality? Now, when we took the pretest, some of you, when you were asked about Mr. Tillian, some of you put as your answer, when it asked you what kind of a person is Mr. Tillian, some of you put down he's fat. Well, that's a physical description of the person, and while you certainly can sometimes use those details to infer something about a person, it really isn't an answer that is appropriate for that question. Now, the standard we're working on, Reading Literature 1.1, asks us to look at details and examples in a text when we're explaining that text explicitly, but also when we're trying to make inferences. When you infer something, you take the details from the text and you kind of look at them, put them together, and you grow an interpretation. You grow your own thinking. You grow your own thoughts. And when we're doing that, when we're reading literature, we know that we hold it loosely in our hands. We don't grab on and hold it tight and not change it. The more information we get as we continue to read, the more our interpretation may need to be revised. That's why we don't want to write it in stone. We don't want to hold on to it so tightly that we ignore maybe some of the details that were being given in the text and we're missing the point. Now remember, we've been talking a lot in the last couple of lessons. Drex, I'm going to have you sit that aside so that you can get this lesson. Okay, you can do that afterwards. We've been talking about the importance of making sure that we are diving deeply. Our lesson that we had last week talked about how we have to live in the text. We have to use all of our senses to create a movie in our mind. Details from the text, plus what we know about life, to actually picture it, to actually hear the voices of the characters, to actually feel the emotions that they're feeling. Okay, so today what I want to teach you is I want to teach you how we take some of these details to make an inference about a person, to start building an interpretation. And the character that I want to use today is actually the character of Jason in our book Front Desk. And I think that this is the work that we do here with this is going to be powerful because we don't have a lot of information about Jason. Okay? We don't have a lot of information about him. If we go back to the beginning of the story, and if you set up your sketch notebook and you have a page for Jason as a character and you're taking notes, we know that at the very beginning of the story, Mia's family meets Jason when they go to see Mr. Yao. Okay, we know that Jason speaks English, but he also still understands Chinese. Okay, we know that he is the same age as Mia. And we later find out that he is in school in the same class as Mia, and he's the only other Chinese student in 5th grade. Okay? So when we're paying attention to characters, we want to try to gather those details and infer. Now, I went back and I took some notes on Jason. And I wanted to share them with you. Okay, so in chapter 1, we find out that Jason understands Chinese, but he speaks English with no accent because he was actually born in the United States. So we have that difference between Mia, who came from China, who lived there, and Jason, whose parents are from China, or at least his dad, because we haven't heard anything about a mother. But his dad comes from China because he has a Taiwanese accent. All right, if you're picking up on details from the story. All right. Now, we see Jason again in chapter 6. In chapter 6, that's when Mr. Yao comes to visit at the motel. Remember, he owns it, so he can drop in at any time. And Jason kind of hangs around in the office while Mr. Yao goes back and talks to Mia's family. And when the voices become raised in the other room, when they start talking very loudly, both Mia and Jason go into the living room and listen in on what's being said. And what we find is that Mr. Yao is now changing the terms. He's changing the terms. And Mia and her family are saying, you didn't say that. Okay? And what do we have? Jason lies to Mia's family to back up his father. Okay? He says, oh no, I heard him say that. And remember, Mia argues that they hadn't even heard. Okay, if you go with Mrs. Lyons, go ahead. That would be you. Aliana, do you go? Thank you. Okay, so he lies to Mia's family to back up his father. He comes over here. Let me find it. On page 27, he says, but it's only been 2 days. You said we could have $5 a customer, my mother said. Those were your words. I said $5 a customer, not including the first 10 and the weeklies. I jumped to my mother's defense. You didn't, I said. You said $5 a customer. You never said anything about first 10 or weeklies. No, I heard him say it, Jason insisted. I narrowed my eyes at him. You weren't even there. You went to your room, I cut back. Enough, Mr. Yao yelled. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. Okay, so let's start growing an idea about Jason. What's something that you think is going on? What kind of a person is Jason? What kind of a person is Jason? Haley?
He's a person who like, he's one of those people like his dad, but like, he no matter what, he'll do what his dad does, and he won't like let people get away with stuff, and he'll lie to people.
Okay, Lizzie?
He's like greedy, and his dad is greedy because like his dad said that that per customer they get $5 and then he's changing the
Okay.
deal. So I'm thinking he doesn't want to pay them because he's greedy.
Well, we have to be careful because I think you're saying something about, you're growing an idea about Mr. Yao, but you're assuming that Jason is greedy. But think about the actual detail of what happened. Think about the actual detail of what happened, right? Mr. Yao changes the deal, okay, and the parents are arguing, and Jason says, no, I heard him. Now, just those words don't show that Jason is greedy, okay? Just those words don't show that Jason is greedy. What do they show, Eliza?
It should have been like more of a follower. If his dad just really say that's true,
Okay, so you think he's more of a follower than a leader? What's your idea, Anna? Okay, what is rude about what he said? When he said, I heard him say that. But what makes that rude? Like a rude person would interrupt somebody. They would say something inappropriate. But lying, to back up his father, really, I wouldn't say that rudeness is a precise word to describe that. Emma?
Well, I think he just he doesn't want to get in trouble by his father because the way Mr. Yap talks without Jason there.
Do we have any details, though, that indicate that he would get in trouble if he didn't say something? We don't really seem to have any details here that indicate that he would get in trouble with his father. So I'm not sure if that, that idea, I don't know that that's supported with what we have so far as information. Jen?
He would always believe everything his dad would tell him. But
Okay, I just want to stop you for a second, right? I'm not sure that we have enough information to say he would always believe everything his dad told him, because here at this point, we're in chapter 6. This is all the information we have about Jason. This is it. This is what we have so far. Okay? In the first 6 chapters, we don't have enough information to say he always believes everything his father says, right? Okay, so let's just base it on what we know. Remember, details from the text, what we know about life. Lalila? Okay, we haven't got to that part yet. That part hasn't even happened by this time. Because you don't see any information about going to the auditorium, do you? Okay, so they haven't even started school yet. Okay, they haven't even started school yet. Lorenzo? You think he is standing up to his father? I don't think that we have evidence that he's standing up to his father about anything. Kendall, what's your idea?
That he's scared of his father and he's kind of backing his father up.
Okay, he's backing his father up. I would agree with that idea because I wrote it. But what evidence do you base your idea that he's scared? Like, is there anything about his body language? Is he shaking? Is he look scared? Does he have an expression on his face that looks scared? Okay? When we're making an interpretation, especially one where we have to infer things, we need to be extra careful about jumping to a conclusion that is not supported by details. All right, so let's stop and take this apart. Okay? We know from reading the story, right, that Mr. Yao is changing the terms so that Mia's family gets less money. He is standing there saying, no, I said the first 10 and the weeklies, which we all know is a lie. We've read the story. We know exactly what they said when they were in Mr. Yao's house and they were talking about the terms. Mr. Yao said $5 a customer. There are 30 rooms in the motel. Remember Mia's mother? Can you imagine her dreamy look on her face when she was calculating how much money that was going to be? That was going to be $150 a day. But now, Mr. Yao, all the same people are there. Mr. Yao is coming in and saying, oh no, I said except for the first 10 and the weeklies. That's 15 rooms. So he's basically standing there and he's telling them, you're not going to get $150 a day. You're only going to get $75. And obviously, the family is going to be very upset about this. Okay? And so that they're going to say, wait a minute, that's not right. And Mia also steps in, that's not what you said. Why does Jason even open his mouth? Why does Jason even enter into the conversation? Haley?
On his dad's side.
Okay, he wants to be supportive of his dad. Ren?
Because he wants to step up for his dad because he is stepping up to her parents and Jason just wants to do the same thing.
Okay. All right, I think that we could definitely kind of hold that loosely, that Jason wants to do the same thing. He wants to stand behind his dad while Mia wants to stand behind her parents. Okay? So as we're growing this interpretation of Jason, we could probably all agree that Jason is loyal to his father. All right? Jason is so loyal to his father that he would even lie for his father. Does everybody agree with that? Give me a thumbs up if you agree. Okay, so we can start to hold this as a very loose idea. So let's keep that in mind. I want to take you to another part of the story. And this is the part a little bit later when Mia is at school on the first day and she's introducing herself. Okay? She finally feels that she has something very interesting that she can share with her classmates. And she's thinking about what she's going to say. It's her turn. Hi, I'm Mia. I live and work in I was just about to say motel when the door swung open. Sorry I'm late, a voice boomed. I turned around and walking through the door with his shirt half tucked in his pants, looking like he just woke up, was Jason Yao. And then a little bit later, at recess time, okay, right here, she's just about to tell something. It says, Jason shot me a look. Don't you dare look. Heat rushed to my cheeks and to Jason's. Why didn't he want the others to know? So why doesn't he want the others to know that she lives and works in a motel? So think about what you know about Jason. Think about these new details that we're adding to our interpretation. Natalie, what do you think?
Maybe people might find out that they know each other and then talk to
Okay, so people might realize that they know each other and he doesn't want them to know that they know each other. Okay? The only thing that I think that you need to add to that consideration is that, remember, they're both Chinese. They're the only Chinese. And just from my experience, sometimes culturally, different cultures sometimes gather together, especially to celebrate certain holidays and traditions. They may even have like a special place that they go grocery shopping to get particular foods that might not be readily available in a regular supermarket. So the fact that they're both from the same culture, all right, is kind of almost lends it to the fact that they may know each other. Their families may belong to the same kind of community spirit that they have because of their shared cultural background. Okay? Haley, you want to add to that?
maybe that they're trying to get rid of Mia's family from the motel.
Okay. Can you say more about that? Because I'm not sure I understand. How would Jason not wanting her to share that she lives in a motel mean that they want to get rid of her from the motel?
Like they're trying to get them lie to them and get them in trouble by them. So it kind of feels like they're trying to make them out of the motel or something.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm following your thinking. I would recommend that you could just to it as you go, or it's something different, Sean?
Well, maybe some of his friends will be coming over, and then the hotel will get crowded.
But does Mia have any friends at this point in the story? So that doesn't quite add up with the details that we have. Okay. Danny, what do you think?
Maybe kind of what like Mom said, but they're not telling me her friends that they want to come over to the hotel.
Okay, but I would not agree with that because number one, she doesn't have any friends. He knows she doesn't have any friends. He knows that she just came here, right? He knows that she's a new student at the schools. So I don't think he's worried about his friends. Elizabeth?
I think that like you were saying that they're like the same culture, like in the only two Chinese kids. Maybe people think that they're like maybe people if they find out then they'll think that they're family members or something, and Jason doesn't want the kids in the class thinking that they're
I'm not sure that that's supported by the details that we're getting from the story. Roman, what do you think?
I think Mr. Yao, if they said I work in live in a motel and they heard it and Jason came in, I think they would get like his father would get in trouble with Mr. Yao.
Why would he get in trouble with Mr. Yao?
They will find out.
So you think that Jason doesn't want the kids to find out what? That his father owns a motel? Why? Why wouldn't he want the other kids to find out that his father owns a motel? Everybody needs to be thinking about this. Why does Jason want to hide the fact that his father owns a motel? Come on, guys. I don't even have all eyes up here. Remember I said, wandering eyes, wandering mind. Everybody's eyes should be up here. Everybody should be thinking about this. If you don't participate in the classroom discussion, you're not learning. What do you think, Marley?
Because motels are a lot less fancier than hotels.
Okay, and say more.
And at the beginning it said that it wasn't a very pretty motel.
Okay, so how is Jason feeling?
Embarrassed.
He might be embarrassed, right? Okay, so it's a motel, right? Mr. Yao admitted that it wasn't the nicest of motels, okay? And we can't kind of draw an interpretation that Jason does not want his father to know, does not want his friends to know because he's embarrassed. His father owns a motel, but it's not very nice. He's embarrassed. He doesn't want people to find out. Okay? So he's warning her not to do this. Stay away from me, he says at recess. Jason marched up to me at recess. Let's make one thing clear, Jason said. You don't know me and I don't know you. Got it? Whatever, I said. So he doesn't want that connection between the two of them. He doesn't want to be embarrassed when the students in the classroom find out that Mia's family works for his father and that they run a motel, and perhaps the motel is not very nice. Their opinion of him might change. They might decide that he's embarrassing. Okay, so or he may be embarrassed for them to know. So notice what we did. We took details from the text. We grew an idea. We tested our idea against the details from the text, Joseph. We tested our idea. Mask on, please. And then we adjusted our idea based on the details that we have. Now, we're going to have to continue to do that throughout the book because as we get more details about the character, we come to know the character more, and we are going to be adjusting and revising and changing our interpretation. Okay, the work we did today is the work you need to be doing in your independent book. Please stop writing on your shield. This is the work you need to be applying to your independent reading book. This is the work you need to be doing in your sketch notebook. Okay, so today, if you have a black checker, you know that you're going to I'm ready reading or achieve to complete your work. Please stay where you are and don't move yet. I'm going to actually try to meet with two groups today. So the first group, if your name is up here, you're going to come and join me up front. You don't need to bring anything with you. The rest of you are going to be reading in your independent reading book and sketch noting. Remember what we did today, growing in interpretation. So your first order of business is to sit down and say, this character, what kind of a person is this character? Using the details you have from the story so far, you need to be making an entry in your sketch notebook about the kind of person that character is. Okay, go ahead.